Hi, this is Steve from Appsplanation.com, and this is our quick start guide for the game Slay. And it's a fun little turn-based strategy game, kind of similar to Risk or also Civilization, if you've ever played that. It's a universal app, so it works equally well on, like the iPhone or a iPad. It scales perfectly for each device that it's on. And when you first fire it up, this is the screen you're going to see. Basically, all these little hexagons are maps, and just to give you an idea, as you go down here and over to the right, the maps get harder, and they're generated ahead of time. They're not generated randomly, so each one, every time you go back and play a map, it's going to be exactly the same. And any of these ones with a little guy on it, I've already played. If you look at the number down here, this is the number of turns it took to beat that map, so if I want to go back and beat my best time, I can do that. And in the upper right, if you want a quick walkthrough of the game, they have a help file inside the game. To start a game, we're just going to tap on one of the hexagons, and it's going to bring us here. This is the main game area right here, and of course we've got a few controls along the bottom and an overview of the map up here. A little hard to see what's going on, so if you just do a pinch, it'll zoom out. You'll be able to see more of the map, and just use your finger to drag around and move it around and check out the different areas. Go over some of the options you have on here. Again, you can hit the help file from there. You want to go in and change some settings, you have that option. To end the game, the little white surrender flag here is how you do that. And during any turn, if you want to undo or redo the last thing you did or several things that you did, you have some arrows here that allow you to do that. And if you want to just look at an overview of the map and kind of see how much territory your enemies have versus you without having to zoom out and scroll around and stuff like that, you can take a look at it from here. And when the game starts, you're always the first player to play, and this is the free version of the game. And there's actually 5 opponents automatically selected. You don't have the option to change that. And so you notice all these little hexagons, certain colored areas are connected together, and these are what are called territories. And the goal of the game is basically to expand all your territories, connect them together, and take over the whole world. So each territory is going to have this flag on it when you start the game, and that means basically that there is money available to spend to build either offensive or defensive units. And when you tap on that hut with the blue flag, it's going to pull this up in the upper right corner. Along the top, you'll see that +4. That's the amount of money available per turn to spend to maintain your units. And not by coincidence, it's 4 there, and you have 4 hexagons. So those numbers directly correlate. So if you had 8, that number would be 8. And this is an important aspect of the game, but we'll get into that a little later. And on the right side, 20, that's the amount of money available total to spend this turn in that specific territory. Not for all of your territories combined, just for that one. And on the bottom, you'll notice we have 2 things. One's castle, one is a basic unit, and the basic unit's called the peasant. And it takes a certain amount of gold to build a unit. In this case we have 20 available. A peasant costs 10 to build, a castle costs 15. Early in the game, until you've actually built a basic unit that can move from territory, or rather take over territories, you don't really want to be putting a castle up just yet, till you at least have one piece on there that can take over other territories, because the castle, while it's good, it doesn't actually move. So as soon as you build it, you use up all your money, and you won't have any left to build any offensive units. So until you get a couple pieces going, I would avoid building the castles. And flip back there real quick. So to build a unit, we're going to tap on it up here. So if we tap on the peasant, it's going to pull this up. Have the peasant in the hand, give you an idea where you can place him. And in this case, you'll notice a number of red highlighted hexagons, and those are the areas where it is safe to place that unit. A peasant is a low-level unit, so he can't take over like an enemy hut. He can't take over another enemy peasant, so he does have some restrictions, but any open piece that doesn't have a stronger unit immediately adjacent to it, he should be able to take over. So then you just go through, place all of your guys for that first turn there. You notice we've done that in this case, and then hit end turn, and then all of the other players will place their units. And now we're going to show you how to upgrade a unit. And any piece you can move, they'll be doing, can't see it in this because it's static, but they'll be jumping up and down, doing jumping jacks basically, and that's a unit that you can now move. But again, peasant is kind of a weak unit, so we want to upgrade him. So what we do is we tap on an available unit or on the blue flag and pull up another new unit menu thing, and then we just place them on top of another unit. So he's available to move. Don't put him in an open space, put him on top of the other unit. And as you see, we've done that here. Now we've created a spearman. And this brings us to an important strategic point of the game. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 9 hexagons available, and remember these are generating then 9 gold or whatever you want to call the money unit in the game per turn. And you need to have that amount of money available to support your units. So a spearman requires 6 gold per turn. A peasant requires only 2. So in order to have these units on here, we need to be generating 8 per turn. If our number of hexagons drops below that and lowers the amount of money we have per turn, it will actually kill off these units. So it becomes quite important in a strategic sense during the game. Nice thing about the spearman, now you've upgraded, he can take over the enemy huts. He can also take over any hexagon with an enemy peasant on it. And so as you see, as we've tapped on him, now we have a much larger number of hexagons that we can take over. Now, a big part of this game is you want to join your territories up together. We've got a couple territories that we've grown. They've become very close together, and to win the game, we're going to have to link all of these up. So we just want to tap on a guy, occupy the intervening space. It will join them together. And as you notice in this previous one, we had a hut here and a hut here, and now that we've joined them together, it's gone to one hut. So that'll happen every time you link territories together. So now we have, in this case, a 17 hexagon territory, so we can support more powerful units with it, or a larger number of weaker units if we wanted. Just bear in mind that weak units, any enemy spearman could take over any hexagon with a peasant on it. So upgrading units is something that you're going to want to do. Now we've got and built up this territory. We've got pieces we can move around to take over other hexagons. So now might be a good time to start considering building castles and putting up a defensive structure on there. Whoops, and I skipped over that, and I'll go back here. Peasants can't take over a hexagon with a castle. Spearman cannot take over a hexagon with a castle. The unit will need to get upgraded again to what's called a knight, and we'll show you that in a second. But just keep in mind, anytime you place a castle somewhere, it's going to guard all of the surrounding hexagons. and only a knight unit or higher will be able to take over that territory. So to create a knight, we're just going to grab another peasant, and we're going to drop him on top of a spearman. And this is the knight. And it's great, he's more powerful, but he costs a lot more to maintain. And we'll go over back here, a peasant, if you recall, costs 2 to maintain, a spearman costs 6 to maintain, a knight costs 18. So you need to have a territory of at least 18 hexagons just to support this one knight. If you have 18 and one knight, that's it. That's all you can put on that territory. And if the enemy takes over any of those hexagons, it's going to kill off that knight or any other units that you happen to have in there. Now, looking at this, we've built up a pretty big territory, and it might look like, it goes up here, got a little thin spot here. Looks like we're in pretty good shape, but not necessarily. We've got 2 knights on here, so it takes 36 hexagons just to support that. Got a spearman, so that's another 6. So we're looking at, we need to have 42 open hexagons in order to support just these 3 units. And so, a smart opponent could very easily attack this territory. We're at 48 in this example, and we would only need to lose 7 hexagons, and all of these guys would get killed off, and I'd be in a bad spot. And this is the, I have very strong guys here, so these, this area is pretty safe, even though it's thin, but down here, it would only take 1 peasant here and 1 peasant here, and suddenly it would split off these territories, and it would kill off all my guys. And we're actually going to do that in this scenario to one of our opponents. So we've got a bunch of guys up here, and they've got a big space down here, but we've got this little thin narrow strip where we can split the enemy territory and then kill off all of his units. And so we've done that, ended turn, and all of these guys off here got killed. It'll take at least 1 turn for this hut to regenerate enough money in order to start placing units again, and since it's a smaller territory, I'll only be able to place much weaker units on there. Excuse me. Another danger that comes up is vegetation. Near the coast they have palm trees, and in the center of the map they have pine trees, and they just sort of randomly generate next to each other and take over hexagons. And while we still control these hexagons, because you see they're light green, anytime there's a tree on it, it actually generates no money. So it's effectively as though somebody else had taken over that territory. And the only way to get rid of them is to place a guy on them, and that will get rid of the tree. But again, it sort of takes up time and resources to do that. So it's something you don't want to let get out of hand, because they will start expanding rapidly as you get more and more in a territory. So keep an eye on the trees. And now we're going to go to the next highest level character, which would be a baron. And in this case, you just take a peasant, drop him on a knight, and boom, now we've got a baron. Great character, most powerful character in the game. He can kill knights, he can kill castles, he can do pretty much anything. But unfortunately, it takes 54 hexagons to maintain him. So you need to have a fairly large territory just to keep this guy alive on a turn-by-turn basis. In this example, we're going to take over a knight. And getting to more advanced strategies we get later in the game, you've got a huge territory here. This guy down here has built up a fairly large territory. But we do have a little bit of a thin spot here that we can probably attack. So we're going to split his territory and then do what we call a roll on him. And So we move a few units over, split his territory, kills off all of his guys, and again it's going to take him at least one turn to regenerate, and he's not going to be able to build as many or as powerful units on that territory. And so now that we've done that, build up quite a few weak pieces, and then just start taking over as much of his territory as possible. So that's the roll phase after the split, making it even harder for him to generate units when he has the ability to do so next turn. Once we get about 80% of the board taken over, usually the opponents will offer to surrender. You don't have to accept the surrender. If you don't want to, you can continue the game and just take over the whole world. And a few other things in settings, you can go through, turn off and on different options. Probably the coolest one is that you can go through and, let's say you wanted to have a pirates theme, it'll change it from pirates to, mafia, just to sort of switch it up a little bit and have more fun with it. And you can change the whole color scheme of the boards as well. And that's it for the quick start guide. This is what we just went through is available on Appsplanation.com /slay/user guide. This is the quick start video. I'll probably do a full sort of live walkthrough of the game and put that under the beginner section. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good day.